So who was the person that countless times said this was a bad signing? Oh, that was me. Who's the person that said that after the vaccine card thing he should have been cut, but then received multiple hate messages, was receiving videos of hate, people were blocking him on social media left and right and calling him not a boxer? Oh, that was me. And who was the guy who's had the same consistent message the entire time with zero outside influence? Oh, that was me. And here we are. And here we are. You guys don't deserve a welcome today. Nobody deserves a welcome today. It's been almost 2 months since I've made an episode. There's no welcome for the show today because it's of the circumstances. So this is what we're going to do. Before we go over what just happened, let's take a glance into the crystal ball here of everything that's led up in Antonio Brown's career to this moment. Okay, and just before we do that, I want to take the time to say a couple of things to a couple of you. And by a couple of you, I don't even mean people listening, just in general, to just people in general. So, Antonio Brown, we're going to get way too into it. And this is the deal. They're going to say, the whole mental illness thing. Okay, let's talk about this. Nobody believes in mental illness more than me. Nobody thinks it's more important more than me. I think it's a very big deal. And so the Antonio Brown thing, to me, is not mental illness, okay? I don't know how many times I have to say this because, but Will, you're being insensitive. Okay, let's go back and look. So, first of all, I would like to ask you people to Google his draft scouting report. What's the first thing they said in the negative one? Do it right now. I'm challenging you. Do it right now. Google it. What does it say? Oh, number one thing. It says it word for word. Acts like a prima donna, doesn't get along with others, has a bad work ethic. That was in 2011. By the way, he got kicked out of FIU. Then he goes to Central Michigan. Coaches didn't really seem too fond of him there because they literally told these scouts to write bad things about him. That's why he ended up being a 6th-round draft pick. So then let's talk about when he goes to Pittsburgh, okay? So it was in Pittsburgh, it was kind of up and down. So he goes to Pittsburgh. He then has that Facebook Live incident where he violated multiple NFL rules by going on Facebook Live during a post-game speech with his head coach against Ben Roethlisberger's will after he told him not to be on social media. It was like a whole drama thing, so that happened. Then a couple things led to another. He wasn't showing up to practice. He was saying things on social media. He was bashing Ben Roethlisberger behind his back. There was a lot of issues between the two. Then the whole Juju Smith-Schuster thing happened. And then it all led to him getting traded to the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, do you remember that? I don't think many of you do. In fact, I had to be reminded of. He got traded to the Bills. They signed off on the trade. It was confirmed. But the Bills were bad at the time. Antonio Brown's a prima donna. So what happens? He somehow gets out of the trade. He refuses to play there. He's not going to do anything there. And then all of a sudden he ends up getting then traded to Oakland. So then let's talk about what he did in Oakland. So first week of training camp, issue because he wanted to retire over a helmet. So let's go into that. So he wanted to retire over a helmet because there was new league rules that you had to wear a certain type of helmet because it was safer against concussions and you couldn't wear those old style helmets anymore. So Antonio Brown was so bad about this, he threatened to retire. He caused issues at practice. He took his old helmet, painted it to be identical to the new ones, and tried to paint over the details of the helmet that were indicating it was still the old helmet, thinking he could get away with it. Spoiler alert, didn't get away with it. Got fined $200,000, and a lot of drama happened there. Okay, now let's keep going on. Then, 2 weeks later, the frostbite incident. So Antonio Brown uses a cryotherapy machine, and he doesn't wear the proper footing because he is an idiot. What else is new? And he didn't listen to what people were saying, and so he didn't wear the proper shoes when he went in the cryotherapy machine. He then got frostbite in his feet, couldn't practice the rest of training camp. This obviously pissed off the coaches. Okay, let's keep going. Next. So then after this whole incident was going on, there was other issues involving the cryotherapy debacle and then the helmet thing. They were still trying to get worked out. So while this was going on, John Gruden calls Antonio Brown and says, he basically said, can you just stop being a menace to society and play football? You're going to pay $30 million to do this job. Can you just please stop doing that? And then, as we all know, Antonio Brown recorded that conversation, posted it on social media, and said, John Gruden's a clown, whatever. Then they have a confrontation. So John Gruden and Mike Mayock, the Raiders GM, they bring him into the office, and Antonio Brown repeatedly yelled racial slurs towards Mike Mayock, punted a football at him, and left practice, the middle practice. He's an idiot. And so then he gets cut. And then he posts a video of him celebrating he got cut, even though he just lost $29 million and he's going broke, and we'll talk about that later. And so then he goes and he signs with the Patriots. He plays one game with the Patriots, and then he gets accused of sexual assault and rape. Okay, then he denied these allegations, but yet was immediately then cut by the Patriots, suspended 6 games for this, so clearly there's evidence. Then after all of that happened, after the whole rape thing came out, then his wife came to hired a delivery truck service to come pick up her and her children's belongings from Antonio Brown's place. Was like, I'm out, you're insane, I'm leaving. And he then robbed the delivery truck driver. He stole things from them to put them back in the house. He then threw rocks through the windshield at this delivery truck guy. And then he was arrested for that because it's assault or battery, one of the two. And so then he literally spends, not a lot of jail time, but I think he spent overnight there for sure. He was arrested. He was in a suicide vest. Very, very viral picture. You can look that up. And so then after all that, we sign him the next season. And I don't even want to take credit for calling that this would happen, because now that I've laid everything out again for you, how could you have not seen it? But I'm going to say this. The reason, and so people keep saying, oh, well, he has CTE. He has mental illness. It's not his fault. Okay, I don't understand that. He's been doing it his whole career. I mean, this whole Pittsburgh Steelers drama thing, that's going back to 2017. 2017. And from college, he got kicked out of college. He could have something. I do believe he probably does have something, and it's probably serious. He needs to get checked out. But that's not why this is all happening. That's not the entire reason. Nobody's holding him accountable. And this is why it keeps happening, because of you guys. And I'm not just saying Bucs fans, because it's not really Bucs fans. It's those mindless zombies on Instagram and Twitter that quite frankly need to get some of their own mental illness checked out too, because of the way they defend them. And they will blindly defend them. I mean, you go on Instagram right now and people comment, F Bruce Arians. F the Bucs, the horrible organization. I'm on AB's side. And they're saying it non-ironically. And you guys wonder why he keeps doing it, because every time he does something stupid like this, there's like this cult that just takes his side always. And that's why it keeps happening. It's not because he could have CTE, but I don't think that's why he's doing this. He's not doing it because, I don't know, he has some like weird dual personalities. He's doing it because he likes clout, and he knows that whatever he does, he just surrounds himself with yes people. That's all he does. Because let's say you're Antonio Brown's friend, he's only your friend because all you do is agree with everything he does. And why wouldn't you? Because if all you do is say yes to everything he says, guess what? You're flying around on a private jet. You're with Antonio Brown now. That's all he does. That's what the problem is. The problem isn't CTE. The problem is you guys. It's society. And the problem was also us for enabling him by signing him again. He needs to not be signed again. He's got way too much on his plate to even think about having a football career. And quite frankly, I'm so irritated by it. So now let's get into like what he did with us. So the vaccine card thing said he should have been cut, didn't get cut. So he had the vaccine card thing. And then he stormed out in the middle of the Jets game. And so he threw his pads on the sideline. He told Mike Evans multiple explicitives. It actually was caught on mic'd up. You can look it up. I think there's a leaked video somewhere that someone posted on Twitter. It's leaked. There's videos of him complaining that he wasn't getting the ball enough. He throws his pads. Mike Evans tries to help him, right? Cusses out Mike Evans like the kind of guy he is. And then he takes his shirt off, throws it into the stands, throws his gloves into the stands. And he just left, did jumping jacks, ran off the field. He ran off the field to jumping jacks, even though his ankle, which we'll get into that. So what actually happened in that incident? So I'm going to tell you what actually happened, because I present actual facts on the show, not some of the things you guys do. So the first thing that happened is we were losing to the Jets, and that's not good. And he was complaining that he was not getting the ball enough. That is confirmed by Tom Brady. That is confirmed by Byron Leftwich. That is confirmed by Bruce Arians. And I don't know if they've asked O.J. Howard about it, but I'm pretty sure he confirmed it too, because he was the one that was really arguing with AB about it. Videos on the sideline everywhere about it. And so I think he just decided from that point on that, hey, I'm out. He wanted to leave because he wasn't getting targeted enough. And so, again, Bruce Arians says in the third quarter, like there was a personnel group that he's in. He says, hey, get on the field. He's like, I'm not going on the field. Bruce Arians goes over, says, hey, why are you not going on the field? And he did not say because his ankle hurt. That's not what he said. Oh, but Will, you're lying. I'm not lying. I don't need proof to know that that's not what he said. What he said was, I'm not getting the ball enough. He said, hey, I'm not getting the ball enough, and I'm not going in. And then Arians said, all right, get out. And that's what happened. Then he had the whole dramatic exit because that's just the kind of guy he is. So let's talk about that. And then after that whole thing, AB releases a statement that says, oh, the Bucs treated him like an animal. Bruce Arians lied to everyone, that we treated him horribly, that we're just a horrible organization, and that he called out Tom Brady. He tagged Tom Brady on his Instagram. He's like, this your trainer? This trainer sucks. He screwed me over. Don't listen to Tom Brady. Don't listen to this trainer. That's essentially what he was saying. Tag Tom Brady on his Instagram story. Without Tom Brady, Antonio Brown would be living in a homeless shelter at this point. He was broke when we signed him. And you don't believe me? Go look up all this stuff about the truck driver, his personal chef, everything. He wasn't paying anybody because he had no money. And we gave him the chance. And he spat in our face. And let me talk about this too. And this is a regrettable signing from last year too. From last year, I told you it was going to be bad signing. I knew it was going to blow up in our faces. And here's the thing. People are going to think, oh, well, Will, last year we won the Super Bowl with him. Will, we won the Super Bowl with him. Oh, no. It was worth it for that, wasn't it? No. Do you want me to tell you why? We would have won the Super Bowl without him. And I can say that with 100% confidence. You want to know why? So let's go over the stats. So, first of all, he only played in about 4 or 5 regular season games for us. So we pretty much were already essentially going to make the playoffs at that point. Actually, it was 7-5. We were going to make the playoffs. Okay? So let's talk about what he did in the playoffs. Okay, so his best game was in Washington when he had, around 60 to 80 yards, and he had that big long touchdown. Okay, cool. We would have beaten Washington without him. I mean, give me a freaking break. They were 7-9. I know they kind of gave us, that game ended up being a lot closer than it should have been, and ended up being a close win, but we would have won that game without Antonio Brown. Tom Brady would have found a way. This roster's talent would have found a way. We weren't going to lose to a 7-9 Washington team. That's ridiculous. So then let's talk about the Saints game. Oh, but Will, the Saints game. The Saints playoff game. That was really close. We needed him. I need to remind some of you, Antonio Brown in the Saints game had 1 catch for 10 yards in the whole game. Why? Because he got injured in the first quarter, never played another snap. So he essentially didn't even contribute to that game. So that's just factual statement. Oh, but then Will, the Packers NFC Championship game. Do I need to remind you guys too? He didn't even play in that game. He didn't even play in the NFC Championship game because he was still injured. So obviously, we were blowing out the Packers at one point before the implosion, then we almost choked it at the end. We didn't need him in that one. And then, but here we go. The Super Bowl, Will, don't you remember? He had that touchdown. Okay, he had a 2-yard touchdown. A 2-yard touchdown on a wrong route, which, hey, I know you're saying, well, Will, aren't you glad you're in the right? Look, I'm glad that there was a touchdown. I'm just stating the facts. He ran a wrong route. Don't believe me? Check the film. Check the play call. Check Blaine Gabbert mic'd up when he blatantly says why he ran the wrong route too in the game. Whatever. I don't have to defend myself to you guys. And so then, all he did was he had, I think, around, let me see. I'm going to look this up. Super Bowl. Bucks, Chiefs. I don't even think he had over 30 yards receiving in that game. Yeah, here it is. So, Tom... Yeah. So Antonio Brown had 5 catches for 22 yards. But we wouldn't have won the Super Bowl without him. Okay. So he had a decent game against Washington where we would have won anyways. He didn't play in the Saints game, basically. He literally didn't play in the Packers game. He had a 2-yard touchdown and under 25 yards receiving in the Super Bowl. But we wouldn't have won the Super Bowl without him, Will. We wouldn't have won the Super Bowl without him. He is nothing more than statistically, I'm talking in the playoffs, he was nothing more than statistically than what Jalen Darden has been this season. Oh, we'll just compare him to Jalen Darden. Oh my, he's such an idiot. Okay, look at the stats, check the sheet. Check the sheet. I'm not saying he's not good. I'm just saying we didn't need him to win a Super Bowl. This signing was a miss. It was a miss. And it was just a matter of time before it was going to explode in our faces. And it did. And it's not going to end anytime soon. Do you know why? Because Antonio Brown won't shut up. It's going to keep coming out. He's going to keep posting weird things. See what he posted on his Instagram story today? Home Alone 2 lost in New York, and it's Tom Brady and Arians' faces in the background of, or pasted on top of Joe Pesci and the other robber's face. What is he doing? It's not going to end. And then the whole thing with the and they have the audacity to say we treated him like an animal? That we were the problem? That it was our fault that we're a horrible organization? That you call out Tom Brady? You called out the GOAT? Who's your only lifeline? You called out that guy? Oh, I cannot. For the sake of my roommates, I'm not going to yell as much as I thought I was going to in this video. But let's just say this. And then, wait, I'm not done yet. Then this whole thing that just broke like 10 minutes ago, right before I started filming this, about how he snuck in a girl, some model, to, well, we know why, but, and then he told her, as evident in the text messages, to make sure to watch the game on Sunday, the Jets game, because something was going to happen. And so he basically premeditated he was going to leave anyway, proving the whole ankle thing's fake. I'm not saying his ankle isn't hurt. He was on the injury report all week that he had a hurt ankle. That's what he's been missing time for a little bit this season. All year he's had this ankle thing. But yet he was doing jumping jacks and running and exited that way. Let's say everything Antonio Brown said was true, which it's not, because I literally just proved that it's not, and this story about the model even proves that it's not, but let's just say it was. Nothing can excuse the way he just exited the game like that, throwing his stuff into the stands, because all he cares about is himself. That's all he cares about. Antonio Brown's for Antonio Brown. He's not for this team right here. He's not for this team. He's for the Antonio Brown team. This is my team. This is my team. I'm not Antonio Brown. I'm not on team Antonio Brown. I hate them. I hate him. And I always have. Even when he was here, I kind of swallowed my pride a little bit and didn't complain about him constantly, because he is good. He is a good receiver. However, and we probably do need him this year. This is the year we actually did need him probably to win a Super Bowl. Last year, not so much because everyone was healthy. This year, we actually kind of do need him. So we're going to see about that. But at this point, after the debacle I just saw, I'd rather rock with Cyril Grayson, Tyler Johnson. I'd rather go with any of those guys. Really, I would. So it's just sad to see that our organization is getting national attention, a huge distraction to the football team. Everyone's had to talk about it all week. It's always on TV. People are picking sides on the internet as if there's really a side to pick. I mean, if you're not on this side, you should consider uninstalling all of your social media accounts and probably go to the doctor. But here's the thing. People will just keep picking his side. I am seriously convinced that if there was a video in 4K HD of him murdering someone, that people would still be on his side. They would still say free. That's how bad it's become. And it's those people is why he's doing this. Mental illness, no. He just craves attention. He's been like this his literal whole life. Oh, but Devontae's perfect. He's been like this his whole life. Just because it's gotten worse recently doesn't mean it's because of that one hit. That's just not why. The problem is, look, again, I care about mental health more than probably anybody, but the thing is we just can't just keep not holding him accountable for anything because he's a little insane up there. What if he's just a big jerk? What if that's it? But like I think that's honestly it. Because there's a chance, I think he has something, but I don't think it's the entire reason. In fact, I don't even think it's 20% of the reason why he's doing this stuff. It's ridiculous. And quite frankly, I've had enough of it. I've had enough of and it's not going away. That's the worst part. This is going to be the gift that keeps on giving, because every single time you open up Instagram or check Twitter now, this whole week it's been like that. It's going to be like that next week. He's going to post something dumb. He's going to post a video. Look, he pisses me off pretty much more every day. He somehow gets more. It's like, so it's fine. Then he did the whole thing. I hated him. Then he posted a video trashing our organization. And, I mean, you guys know how I feel about that. That's like trashing me publicly. And so you guys know, so I got super aroused. Like, I could not get more mad at him. Then Bruce Arians comes out and obviously proves the entire Antonio Brown's entire story was fake. Proved it by having multiple other teammates then kind of talk about it too, and yada yada. So then the whole model thing. So on top of the fact that, I mean, it's just he snuck in a model to the team hotel into his hotel room when, you know, the rest of the team cares that actually cares about the team, wants to get a good night's sleep, wants to go out there and have a good game. Antonio Brown is too busy getting models to sneak into the hotel. Besides that entire debacle, which I think a player should be cut for that alone. Then the fact that he told her to specifically watch the game for what event is going to happen during the game, which was then Antonio Brown premeditating that he was going to have that entire thing. And then, do you know what gets worse? You can look at those texts between the model and Antonio Brown. Kind of wish I didn't, but I had to because it's my job to report to you guys. And so I read all of the text. There was 30 screenshots. I read all of them. And there's this, and you can read it too. It's in an article. And there's this one part where she's like, oh, why, basically, she's texting him, as he's running off the field, it was like, why'd you do that? But then she's like, oh, you look so sexy while you were running off the field. And he's like, yeah, I know, I'm a gremlin. It's like, this is why he does this, because you have these idiots that are like, oh, you look so, on top of the fact that pretty much anyone ever should be looking at that and be like, that guy is a complete loser, he needs help, let's call the police or something. You have all these models, these weird people that kiss up, oh, you look so sexy, come out, what? And that's the only thing he receives. And if it's anything negative, he's just oh, they're out to get me. Oh, they're out to get me. You heard him in the media last week against in that press conference. He's like, oh, you guys are all drama. You're against me. It's like, you're against you. You're against you. That's what you are. And the thing is it's just, this is not going to go away, and it's going to keep irritating me. And I'm not even talking about the Bucs today. This is just Antonio Brown. I'll make another one about the Bucs. We need to talk about this, because this is the biggest, probably, drama debacle the Bucs have ever had, ever. And this includes the whole Keyshawn Johnson trade thing the year after he won the Super Bowl that year. There's a lot of comparisons to that I've already seen, but this is worse. This is a lot worse, because now these random bozos online are like, oh yeah, the Bucs have a horrible organization. Bruce Arians is a terrible head coach. He's a terrible person, even though, let's look at his resume. He's been in the NFL for 40 years. Every single player that's ever been with him has liked him, except Antonio Brown, and Antonio Brown pretty much doesn't like anybody. And I don't understand why people defend him. He is accused of raping and sexually assaulting a girl, which was proven true by the NFL standards. That's why he was suspended. So there's at least enough evidence for that. That's still in court, I'm pretty sure. I don't even know if that was... I'm pretty sure that wasn't even settled yet. You then have robbing the truck driver. He has all these weird... yelling racial slurs at a GM. He told our players... He told Mike Evans... You cuss out Mike Evans. You cuss... That's my... that's when I really got mad. That's when I really kind of lost it. I lost, obviously, when he just ran off the field. But you do not cuss out Mike Evans. That's the... There's a massive line... Just crossed it right there. I was so irritated. You do not talk to my boy. He's been there. He's our franchise. He's the one that built this thing up from the foundation. Him and Levante David. You don't ever... Antonio Brown should literally be getting Mike Evans' autograph every time they talk. Antonio Brown shouldn't even have the privilege to look at the greatness that Mike Evans is, because compared to how horrendous of a person Antonio Brown. Whatever. That's my take on it. He did all these things, and these people will still be like, Antonio Brown, I'm on his side. And they're not doing it ironically. They're not. Because you can talk to them on the internet and they're idiots. It's hard. It's hard to imagine. And yet it's everywhere. I can't. That's pretty much going to do it for this one. That's going to do. This is a horrible. Nothing about this is good. It's a huge distraction right before the playoffs. On top of the fact that we just lost a really good player, that being Antonio Brown. So now our receivers are just Mike Evans and a bunch of no names. Unfortunately, I think Cyril Grayson might be good, but we'll be talking about. We're going to talk about this later. All you need to know now is this is bad. I can't stand Antonio Brown. Stop blaming it on mental illness. He needs to be held more accountable. It's happened his whole life. It's not just because of the Vontaze Burfict hit, because it's happened way before that. So that's all I got to say. I'm done. I'm done. You guys know goodbye. I'm